All right, so you know those Marfa Lights everyone's always talking about out there in West Texas?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
We're going to do a deep dive into those today.
Sounds fun.
So we've got all these accounts, stories people have told, and then some actual scientific stuff too.
Right?
Trying to get to the bottom of what these weird lights actually are.
Yeah, because people see them pretty regularly, right? It's not just like a one-off thing.
No, not at all.
Like they've got an official viewing spot and everything.
Exactly. Which is crazy when you think about it.
It is. Like the
Yeah.
government's basically saying, hey, come check out these mysterious lights.
Pretty much.
So yeah, lots of people want to understand this thing, and we're going to unpack it all.
Yeah, no more just speculating.
Right. We'll lay out what we actually know.
So to start off, what are people even seeing out there when they talk about the Marfa Lights?
Okay, so the most common thing is they see these like points of light off in the distance.
Okay, like little dots, basically.
Yeah. But what makes them stand out is they move in all these weird ways.
Not like regular lights.
Exactly,
Okay.
like a car or something.
Yeah.
Right, a car is just going to go down the road.
Or a plane.
Yeah, they have a path they follow.
But these Marfa Lights are different.
Totally.
Right.
And this guy, James Bunnell, he's studied these things a lot, calls them orbs of light.
Orbs, huh? Interesting.
And here's the thing, they're not all the same either.
Oh, really?
They change brightness. Colors shift around.
So they're not just like white lights,
No, sometimes, yeah.
but they can be other colors too.
Oh, yeah, lots of folks say they're like yellow-orange most of the time.
That makes sense. Kind of deserty.
But then sometimes green, blue,
Yeah.
even red.
Wow, the whole rainbow.
And the way they move, it's wild.
Oh, yeah, we were saying they don't move normal, but what do?
So sometimes they're dancing around, sometimes they just hover.
Like they're frozen?
Yep, and sometimes they split up.
What?
Yeah, like one light becomes two,
No way.
and then they can merge back together too.
That's nuts. So where are they seeing these orbs? Like, what's the setting?
So generally people see them up above the desert plants, but below the mesas.
Oh, so they're not like way up in the sky.
No, definitely down lower.
Interesting. Okay. So this whole Marfa Lights thing, it's not new, right?
Oh no, this goes way back.
Like way before cars and stuff.
Oh yeah, way back.
So how far back are we talking?
The very first story we have is from 1883.
Whoa, that's old.
This cowhand, Robert Reed Ellison, he was moving cattle through Paisano Pass and saw this flicker.
Like a fire.
Yeah, that's what he thought. Figured it was Apaches.
Which would make sense back then.
Oh, totally.
But people say it wasn't a campfire.
Nope, something else.
So it wasn't just him then. Other people saw stuff too.
Oh, yeah. Just a couple years later, 1885, this couple, Joe and Ann Humphreys.
They saw lights too.
Yep, same kind of thing.
Huh. So it's been going on for a while.
A long while.
So when did people outside of Texas start hearing about these lights?
Well, it was 1957 when a magazine, Coronet Magazine, wrote about them.
Ah, that'll do it.
That got the word out for sure.
So people started paying attention.
Exactly.
And then did anyone actually, like, try to investigate?
Yeah, this guy, Elton Miles, wrote a whole book in 76 called Tales of the Big Bend.
Okay.
And he included a bunch of Marfa Lights stories going all the way back to the 1800s.
Wow.
And he even had a photo.
A photo of the lights.
Yeah, some rancher took it.
That's pretty cool. So now there's proof.
Well, kind of.
But still, it's more than just stories.
Oh, yeah, much more.
So what about more recently? Like, have scientists looked into it?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay, what'd they find?
Well, there's this guy, James Bunnell, we mentioned earlier.
Right, the orbs guy.
Yeah, he put out these monitoring stations in 2003.
High tech.
But he also looked at older records going back to 1945.
Wow.
And based on that, he figured there's about 9.5 sightings per year.
That's a lot.
Yeah, but here's the thing. He thinks that's only about half of what's really happening out there.
Oh, really? Why is that?
Well, his stations are mostly focused on Mitchell Flat. That's the main viewing area. But he thinks there's probably lights happening all over.
Makes sense. So even with all that tech, we're still missing some.
Probably.
But what about what the scientists think is causing those lights? Any ideas?
One of the main theories is that it's just car headlights.
Car headlights. Seriously?
Yeah, but here's how they think it works.
Okay, I'm listening.
So you know how when it's hot and you look down a road, it gets all wavy?
Oh, yeah. The heat.
That's the desert air doing that. And over long distances, it can mess with how lights look.
Interesting. So if it's just headlights, where's the best place to see them?
Well, this researcher, Judith Brusque, she recommends going about 9 miles east of Marfa on Highway 90. There's like a wider shoulder there or something.
Right.
And she thinks what you're seeing is actually cars on U.S. Highway 67.
That's the one that goes south, right?
Yep, down to Presidio.
Makes sense.
And the way the air bends the light makes it look all weird and floaty.
Huh. Pretty cool, actually. So has anyone, like, tested that theory?
Yeah, there was this study where they actually counted cars.
To see if it matched up with the lights.
Exactly. These researchers, Robert and Judy Wagers,
Okay.
they even came up with a name for the lights seen from the viewing center. Classic Marfa Lights.
So they're being specific?
Yeah, they used landmarks to define the exact area.
Like what?
Well, there's this Big Ben Telephone Company Tower and Chinati Peak.
Oh, yeah, I know those.
So they're being really precise.
Smart.
And then in 2004, some physics students from the University of Texas at Dallas,
Okay.
they went out there for 4 nights.
Dedicated.
They watched for lights southwest of the view park and kept track of how many there were.
Like taking notes all night.
Yeah, and then they compared that to the traffic on Highway 67. They found a correlation. More cars, more lights.
So it wasn't random.
No way. It seemed connected.
That's really interesting.
And they also noticed that the lights moved in straight lines a lot of the time.
Just like cars on a road.
Exactly. They even did this cool experiment.
What they do.
They parked a car on 67, flashed the headlights, and watched from the viewing center.
So what happened?
It looked just like a Marfa light.
No way.
They basically recreated it.
Wow, that's convincing.
And get this, when another car drove by on the highway,
What it looked like from the view park.
one Marfa light passing another one.
That's crazy.
I know. So they said all the lights they saw those 4 nights were probably just car headlights.
That seems pretty conclusive for their study, at least.
Yeah, for sure.
So have any other studies used, like, different methods to see if it's headlights?
Yeah, in 2008, Texas State University did this study with spectroscopy.
Spectroscopy, remind me what that is.
It's where you analyze the light itself
Okay,
to figure out what made it.
gotcha.
So they went to the viewing station for 20 nights
Wow, 20 nights.
and used this equipment to look at the light from the Marfa lights.
Cool.
They saw some that just looking at them you'd think were something weird.
Well, like unexplained.
Yeah, but when they looked at the spectroscopy data and how the lights moved, they could always explain it.
Really?
Yeah, they were either car headlights or sometimes even little fires burning off in the distance.
So even when they looked mysterious, science could explain it.
Yep, that was their main takeaway.
Huh, interesting.
But they did say that the really weird ones, the ones that acted really strange and couldn't be explained by cars or anything,
Yeah.
those seem pretty rare.
So maybe some are still unexplained.
Maybe, but they said we need more research to figure those out.
If they even exist.
Exactly.
So it seems like most scientists think it's probably headlights, but some people still aren't convinced.
Right.
Like the mystery hasn't totally been solved.
Not for everyone.
There's the skeptic guy, Brian Dunning. He has a different idea.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of him. What's his take?
Well, he points out that the viewing park is right where the Marfa Army Airfield used to be.
Oh, really?
Yeah, back in World War II, it was a huge base, tons of people there.
I had no idea.
And then later, it was a regional airport.
So there was always something going on there.
Tons of activity, 24/7.
For years.
And Dunning says if there really were weird lights happening all the time.
Someone would have noticed.
Exactly. With all those people and all that surveillance.
Makes sense.
So he thinks it's something else, something natural.
What's his theory?
Mirages.
Mirages. Like in the desert.
Yep, he says because Marfa's up so high,
Okay.
the temperature changes a lot between day and night,
Right.
and that can create these layers of air, some hot, some cold.
Oh, interesting.
And when light passes through those layers,
I think it's all messed up.
exactly, it can make lights look like they're floating or moving in weird ways.
Huh. So it could be lights from cars or even just regular lights in the distance?
Right, but they look all spooky because of the air.
That's pretty cool. I never thought of that.
So we've got people seeing these mysterious orbs, and then science saying it's probably headlights.
Or mirages.
Right. It's funny how those two things exist at the same time. And it's not just in the desert. The Marfa Lights have kind of become famous.
No, yeah, totally. They pop up everywhere.
Like where?
Well, there was that show Unsolved Mysteries.
Oh, yeah. Classic.
And they were even on King of the Hill.
No way. I gotta rewatch that.
And for the younger crowd, there's that Disney Channel show. So weird.
Never seen that one.
And books, too. This author, David Morrell, he wrote a book called The Shimmer.
Based on the Marfa Lights?
Yeah.
Huh. Neat. Wait, didn't a band even write a song about them?
Yeah, the Rolling Stones.
No way. Really?
Yeah, it's called No Spare Parts, and they sing about the lights of Marfa.
That's awesome.
And there's a country singer, too, Paul Cawthon. He has a song called Marfa Lights.
So even musicians are into it.
Yeah, and even The Simpsons went to Marfa in 2019.
Get out of here.
And they mentioned the lights, but Lisa tried to explain them scientifically, and they cut her off.
That's hilarious. Typical Simpsons.
It just shows you how much these lights have captured people's imagination.
Totally, regardless of whether they're actually mysterious or not.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up this whole Marfa Lights deep dive, what should people remember?
I think the biggest thing is to keep in mind both sides of the story.
Like the people who see the lights, AUD the scientists.
Yeah, we've got these people who've been seeing these weird lights for over 100 years.
With their own eyes?
Yep, describing these crazy orbs and how they move and change color.
And those stories are definitely intriguing.
For sure. They make you wonder what's really going on out there.
But then we have the scientists.
Right, and they've done some pretty convincing work.
Especially in the last 20 years or so.
Yeah, they're pointing to car headlights as the most likely explanation.
Or mirages.
Right, and they had some good evidence to back it up.
So it's kind of a toss-up.
Yeah, like science has explained a lot of it.
But those older stories and the really weird sightings...
They keep that little bit of mystery alive.
Exactly. Even if most of what we see today is probably just headlights.
It makes you think, right?
It does. It makes you wonder if maybe we want to see something extraordinary so badly.
Especially out in a place like the desert.
At night.
Where anything feels possible.
So maybe our minds fill in the blanks.
Make it more mysterious than it really is.
It's definitely something to think about.
It is, and not just with the Marfa Lights.
What do you mean?
Well, think about all the things we see and hear in the world.
Okay.
Do we always see them objectively?
Good point. We all have our own biases and experiences.
Exactly. So maybe there are other things that seem mysterious at first.
But if we look closer...
Use a little science.
We might find a simple explanation.
It's worth considering, right?
Absolutely. Always good to keep an open mind, but not be afraid to ask questions.
That's the spirit of the deep dive.
Exactly. So keep thinking about those Marfa Lights, even after the show's over.
And keep wondering about what else might be out there just waiting to be explained.
Or maybe remain a mystery forever.
Who knows?
That's the fun of it all.
Exactly.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the Marfa Lights.
Always a pleasure.
See you next time.
See ya.